Hey guys, and welcome to the Karima Podcast, where we talk about business, finance, entrepreneurship, and real estate. I'm your host, Jason Karima, and I have Zach Riggs on the podcast today. Zach, it's a pleasure to have you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So Zach is a private lender, and he's been in real estate for around 13 years, right?
I've actually been selling real estate for about 18 and investing for 13, and the lending's been the last couple years.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited about this podcast.
Me too.
I've been wanting to meet you for a while. I've been following you on social media and stuff, and just your lifestyle and what you're doing, and you're big into cars as well.
Yes.
It's just been really cool to watch you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad to be here, so thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So let's just dive in. Tell me about your journey and how you got started.
Okay. Well, I mentioned I've been in real estate for 18 years. So I got the wise idea to get into real estate in 2006. So that was kind of the time when the economy was, well, the housing market at least, it was kind of peaking. You know what I mean? But prior to that, I went to high school, and I barely graduated. Academics, it's really not my thing.
Yeah.
I always tell people, I'm just not that smart, IQ-wise. It's just not my thing. I'm more street smart. So high school was a struggle, but I did graduate. While I was in high school, I decided I wasn't going to go to college, so I joined the military. I went into basic training between my junior and senior year, and then I came back and finished high school, graduated, left again. And then came back, was in the reserves for the National Guard. And, I didn't really have any kind of direction whatsoever. Not going to college, barely graduating high school. I was just kind of out. I'd work about anywhere that would hire me, And if I didn't like it, I would quit and go find another job. So, on average, I probably had between 5 and 10 W-2s every year,
Oh, wow.
So, but nothing felt right. And, when you're young, you're trying to figure it out. And so my best friend at the time, DJ, his dad was in real estate. He was a business guy and, just lived in a beautiful home, had a great family, a beautiful wife. And so I thought, he was a bit of a father figure to me as well. And so, he kind of encouraged me to get into real estate, and so in 2006, as I mentioned to you before the podcast, I was working at a leasing company, a rental management company, basically, and I was a leasing agent in 2006, and I was given kind of this ultimatum from the owner at the time, Mark. He's a great guy. He passed away, but a great guy. But he felt that it was a conflict of interest for me to be a licensed sales agent as a leasing agent for him, because while I worked for him, I decided that just maybe I would get my license and move into the sales aspect, because Denny, my best friend's dad, was sort of encouraging me to do that, and so was DJ. They thought I would be good at it. And so ultimately I got my license, and I had to quit that job because it was a conflict of interest, according to the owner at the time. And so Denny, my best friend's dad, he gave me some support financially if I needed it to kind of quit that job and go out on my own. Because at the time, I didn't have any money. I don't remember how much money I had, but it was $100, and then wait for the next check to come in on Friday, Yeah. And so he gave me that opportunity. He volunteered to help me financially if I needed it, which I'm proud to say I never took it. But all I needed was to know that I was going to be okay and that he was supporting me.
Yeah.
And that gave me the courage to do it. And it was a struggle. My first year I made maybe $12,000. And that was at the peak of the market at the time in 2006. And then that following year is when the market just completely went downhill, the recession as they call it. So I got that wise idea. I'm going to go sell real estate. And then, the bottom falls out of it, which luckily, if I go back to that time, I was, what was I, 24? Yeah, I was 24, didn't have any kids, wasn't married,
so you
had
didn't
no
have
money
a whole
anyway.
lot of responsibility.
So didn't have a whole lot of responsibility until I met I had been dating my wife on and off kind of at that time, and so we got pregnant. And so in 2006, we got pregnant, and then a lot of changes that year. Got pregnant, started selling real estate, and I got married. So it was kind of a big year, Yeah. A lot going on. And so anyway, yeah, it was tough, a lot of changes, but looking back, it was kind of the best thing that ever happened. But yeah, from that point, man, I got into selling real estate at a very just low level. I didn't know anything about it. I thought I was going to start, I thought I get my license, I go figure out where I'm going to work. They interview me, they're going to love me, and then they pay me this big salary, and all my problems were solved. And so I realized quickly that it's actually the opposite of that. You work for yourself. Mm-hmm. Nobody tells you what to do or how to do it, and you make no money unless you have a closing. So that first year did not go well. It was more of just like survival, And luckily, because of just my childhood and my life up until that point, the one thing I did have was like I would work, and I had grit, and I wanted to have a better life, and I just had no idea how to do it. But so I'm glad that I had that, because as I kept selling real estate, I was having a little bit of success, 12,000, and then the next year maybe 25, and then 35, and then 55. And so, like I said before, I'm a kind of a slow learner with things, but once I learn it, if it works, I'm also incredibly disciplined, so I'll stick to it forever, and I'm very regimented. And so I just kind of kept sticking to selling real estate for maybe the next, 6-7 years. And then I started to consider moving from that original real estate company, which was a discount brokerage, into a traditional sales company where I could make more money per transaction. Mm-hmm. So I did that. And then as I did that, I started to learn more about business in general, just because I moved companies and I was around people that were further along in, finances and business. And so I was able to kind of soak that stuff in like a sponge, and I loved it. And so then I started to get some margin in my finances to where I'm like, okay, because to this point, I literally just broke, right? I had no money. And but I had a family. I had a wife and a kid and all of that. So a lot of pressure. But selling real estate, and then transitioned into traditional real estate, had some success there, making more money. Mm-hmm. So then we kind of went into, okay, let's get some of my wife's student debt paid off. Let's save some money to have some safety and security. Yep. Credit cards, things like that, no go. Like, let's get rid of all, because you know this, when you work for yourself, you don't know from 1 month what you're making to the next, especially in the beginning. It's very scary, and it's so hard. A lot of people just cannot do it. And I understand why.
It's a lot of stress.
It's tough, and you're actually having to figure out how to go out and make money while you're incredibly stressed about where is this going to come from. Mm-hmm. And then you have the normal day-to-day of a new baby and a new marriage, and you're a young guy, and so it's a lot, Yeah. And so anyway, we move in. As far as the finances go and the real estate, things are going, I'm selling real estate, paying debt off slowly, like things are going real well. And I start to get a little bit more confidence, and investing starts to become sort of this thing that's out there that I want to do, but I'm not sure how to do it. Mm-hmm. Through the recession, I was helping a lot of investors in the area buy real estate, because at that time we had, well, you were pretty young, but at that time we had a lot of foreclosures, and, so the investors were just real active buying these things. They got them for great prices. They got great financing. And I'm like, all these guys are pretty wealthy, like that I'm working with, and I'm like thinking I need to probably pay attention. And so that continues. And I guess it would have been in maybe 2013 or 2012. I found a house, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I was so scared, but I'm like, this is a good deal. I partnered with one of my clients. He used his home equity line of credit to buy it and used his home equity line of credit to renovate it. And he was kind of in construction. So I found the deal. He basically did the rest, but we did great. We made, I don't remember, maybe $25,000 a piece, which was huge. You know, if you're making 60 grand a year and you make 25,000 on one deal on top of your 60, like you're going, hey, I need to figure out how to do this more, which is what I did.
That's pretty good. Like on our first flip, I think we made me and a partner made like $3,000 or $4,000 a piece. So we didn't do very well. Yeah. But on our first rental, 2 years prior to that, I bought a rental and rented it for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, then sold it. We made 25,000 profit on that one. So there you go. That was not bad, but
not bad at all. I mean, in my mind, I've made 3,000 or 4,000 on some, but like I look at everything. If it's positive money wise, then it's worth doing.
Yeah. We also, our mentality going into, we just bought a great deal. We're going to make all this money, all this stuff. And then you get you don't have any experience with people working for you, stuff like that, as far as contractors go and all that. And then just, you go over budget and blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of what happens. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't know everything, and that's the way it works. And there's really no way around it. You just have to do it and learn it, and that's why a lot of people probably just choose to not do it. And I understand that too. You know what I mean? Like I totally get it. But yeah, if that's the worst case scenario, you lose a little bit of money or you only make a small amount of money, that's not bad. That's not bad. So where was I at?
So after your first deal, did you buy one right after, or?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't really remember how long. I think after that, it was like the whole, that was it for that year. And then the next year, I think I did maybe 5 or 7. I think I sold off a few of them and kept the other ones. Because my sales business was doing well, and then I was also flipping a few and adding to my savings account, which was nice. My sales business is making money, so everything was pretty good. But I definitely had this nagging feeling where it's like, I love selling real estate, but I'm working my ass off. And my personality is if it's working and I'm getting paid, I'm gonna go hard. Because it's working. Why wouldn't I? And I was getting a little worn out. My son was young, so it was sort of okay, but I was gone a lot. I wasn't real happy, but I was thrilled money wise and security, but my personal life I wasn't super thrilled about. So I started to think about continuing to do the sales business, flipping, and then keeping some of them as rentals and make a goal for myself of cash flow, because at the time, $5,000 a month covers everything and then some, So my goal was like, if I can generate like $5,000 a month in cash flow, that would eliminate some pressure. I know I'm not selling real estate forever. There's not a chance. I knew that right away. And so I started to do that, and it went pretty quick, and it was fun. I loved it more than selling real estate. And so then I started to look at it like the scale, It's like my sales business was so heavy as my income. And I thought, you know what? I'm doing 5,000. If I could do 10,000 and then and then I could even that scale to where my investments make more or the same as my sales business, then I could continue to slow down the sales business and maybe one day get out of it completely. So that was the mindset in maybe 2013. And then from there, I just went kind of crazy. Like I got so into buying and holding. And the market conditions were right. The prices were right. The interest rates were right. I didn't know the prices were going to go to where they are now, of course, but at the time, I
bet you were happy when that happened, right?
I'm very happy, but it does speak to, somebody told me like a month ago, like you were lucky that you could invest when you did. and they're the same age as me, and they're in real estate. And while there is some luck there, I'm lucky that I took the initiative, but he could also have done the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think he quite has the right mindset as far as
Yeah.
that goes.
Yeah. And so, no, I acknowledge that there's some luck there. Don't get me wrong. Got very lucky. But I could have easily not done any of it like he did, you know? And I love him. And I told him this, so it's nothing. This is exactly what I told him. I'm like, well, you know, just because the opportunity's there, it doesn't mean, like, you could have taken all the opportunities I took, you know? And so I'm just really glad that I had the hunger and the desire, and then also the willingness to potentially fail, because when you're buying houses, you know, 3-bed, 2-bath houses or whatever, you know, you're buying them for like 75, you put 20 in them, you're going to have maybe be at 95. And at that time, the market, you know, you're thinking this might be 125. Maybe one day it'll be worth 135, 145, you know, because at the time that's what the real estate market was. And as at my age, I hadn't lived any other experience. So, and then, you know, you do that, the numbers make sense, you keep them. And then here we are. And then all this happens and everything skyrockets and
doubles pretty much,
you know? So, that got me pretty good and pretty hard in around 2013, 2014. And I started Guy That Buys Homes. I wanted to just really ramp up the investing. I had good systems. It was very profitable. It was way more fun than selling real estate. So I just kept selling real estate, kept flipping, wholesaling, but I would buy and hold most of it. And thank God I did, you know, because it would be very easy to just sell stuff and get the quick cash, you know.
Yeah. So do a lot of people still recognize, well, I mean, you still do it obviously, but do a lot of people be like, oh, you're the guy that buys homes, stuff like that?
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, like in Springfield, I mean, obviously it's a big town, but it's really, you know, the people that are like kind of in the business community and the entrepreneurs and the real estate. Yeah, I would say a lot of people, but I'm also pretty obnoxious, you know, like if you're friends with me on social media, like, you know, I'm in real estate, you know, and I've made it really clear for, you know, 12 years. Yeah. So yeah, people definitely recognize me, or they'll, you know, message me or call me, which is fun. It's nice, but you know, just been around a while, you know, when you're around a long time and you let everybody know what you do for a long time, that's just kind of what happens.
Yeah. So I have for the longest time, which I'm starting to shake that and be known for real estate, but a lot of people know me as the iPhone guy. They're like, oh, you're the phone guy, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. So for years, because I ran the phone store for several years and all that, so I just had that. So I'm trying to transition, but I mean, I guess it's good to be known for something, right? So like at least they recognized some type of business with me, so that's good.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, you just have to push it. You just have to push it out there constantly and remind people of whether you want to be the cell phone guy or the real estate guy or whatever it is, you know, you just got to make it kind of the forefront. It's a little scary though, because if you know, and I don't know exactly about your setup with your businesses and financially, but like for me, I was the real estate sales guy. And that was what it was for the longest time. And so I was very nervous to introduce the investing side of it and push that too hard, because I thought, oh, well, that's going to detract people from using me as their agent because they think I'm just an investor, you know, and did it? Yeah, it definitely conflicted and caused me to lose business at points, no doubt about it. But ultimately, I knew that the investing side of it was the long-term goal that I loved doing, that would have the most impact financially and with my time. And so when I said the whole like scale thing, that's what I mean. It's like you don't want to abandon that identity of whether it's the cell phone guy or the real estate sales guy. You don't want to just cold turkey abandon it, but there is this gradual shift where you can sort of even the scales a little bit. And then when you feel comfortable and you see the numbers and you know it's time, okay, now I'm going to abandon basically the sales aspect of it and move into what I really want to do, that I'm passionate about, which is where I'm at now.
Yeah. So did you end up completely abandoning the sales? Like, do you do any sales side or?
Well, we do a little bit, not a lot, honestly. Nothing even remotely close to what I used to do. I mean, I'm talking, we do maybe 10-15% of what I was doing at kind of the height of my sales career,
Yeah.
And now it's just like my buddy wants to buy some apartments or a package of deals. It's like, okay, well, I know how to do all that. I'll jump in, and you get paid well for it, and your friend appreciates it. We still do help people sell and buy. I have somebody that works for me, with me. Her name's Birdie. She's been with me for like 7 years. And so just any business I get, I just give it to her. And then we have an agreement where I get a little bit, she gets some, and it's a win-win.
Yep.
So, but I don't push for it. I don't market for it. It's just clients from the past or friends, stuff like that, that is absolutely all I want. And Birdie helps them. She's much better at that than I am. So
that's good.
Yeah.
So then, what about private lending?
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of talked about that earlier. You said you've only been doing that for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, I've been doing that for a couple of years.
It's hard money lending.
Hard money lending. Yeah, whatever the word is, I'm not really sure. But that was a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. The market was slowing down in terms of like what I qualified as a great deal. And so I had more time on my hands, and I wasn't accumulating. I was at one point, I'm buying 60, 70 properties a year. So I'm busy and things are going great and this is fun. And then, things slow down, and it kind of plays a role on you mentally because, you have more time on your hands. You don't feel as productive. Like, what am I doing? And so that played a role for me. Even though I had lots of rentals and everything's great, it's just as people, we want to feel productive, like we're doing something every day and all that. And so the lending thing was, I liked it because it runs parallel to what I love doing, which is investing. And I'm already in the real estate sales community. People know me. So it just, everything lined up perfectly. And so I thought, I could lend money on these deals that people are finding that I'm not getting to be part of. And that to me was like the next best thing. So it's like, if I can't buy the deal, then I can at least provide the financing for it and be part of it and help them, and I get paid for it. And so that's what happened. I started to do it maybe 2-3 years ago with a buddy of mine, and then it went fine. And then I would keep marketing it to the people, in my area, mostly real estate agents, and I just love it. They love it. I love it. It's fun. You're getting excellent returns. I don't feel like there's really any risk because it's real estate, which is what I do, So I always tell people, worst case scenario for me, I have to take the property back and make more money than I would have. So it's, not that I hope people don't pay me, obviously. Yeah. I don't want that. But if they do, I actually get paid more. So I like those kinds of odds.
So has that happened so far?
It's never happened, no.
That's good.
I'm sure it will happen. And if it does, it's totally fine. Like, it's really fine. I underwrite everything as if they are going to basically buy it, demo it, and then abandon it. And if they do that and the numbers still work, and I underwrite I underwrite the deal, and I know how to do it and all the things, and so it's no big deal. So if they don't pay me, then it's like I just get paid extra, So I love those kinds of investments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been going on for 2 or 3 years. We generally have between maybe 5 and 10 loans at a time. So I'm not like a major lender. I don't do retail type stuff. It's all mainly just investment properties where we loan out for a month to a year. There's got to be some obvious equity in the property. Like, generally it's bad shape, needs to be remodeled, but there's like a clear path to, a win.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, I loan them the money. Yeah.
Is there anything that you look for outside of just the deal, like the person you're working with? Does that play a big role, or is it basically just the deal? What is it for you?
The person plays a role. If it's someone I don't know at all and I have no connection to them through someone I know, then I just don't do the loan.
Okay.
Unless it's a really just a no-brainer. I have done a few where it's like, they've got a 50% loan to value type thing, and okay, I don't really care who you are, and if I don't know you, it's totally fine. Because if you don't pay me, if your house is worth a $250,000 and I'm only in it for 120, then I'll roll the dice. It's no big deal.
Yep.
But generally, it's people that I know in the real estate community, agents, lenders, just regular, just people that are in the area, Green, Christian, Webster County. That's like where I primarily focus in Missouri, Southwest Missouri. That's where I work. But I don't put a lot of emphasis on the person. Like, I've never asked anybody for tax returns, no bank statements, nothing. I don't ask for any of it. It's mostly if I have a connection to you and I'm aware of who you are, I'll do it as long as the deal is, if it makes sense to me, I'll do it, because I know that regardless if you're involved or not, I can take it over and solve the problem and come out ahead, and at the very least not lose money. So my underwriting is like there is none really. It's just the property, for the most part.
So do you have your own crews, or do you work with contractors, or how do you do your stuff?
Yeah, now I don't have my own crews. I don't have my own contractors anymore, but for a lot of years I had crews that would kind of work with me and go from just kind of one project to another. But in the last 3 years, I don't do full renovations anymore. I mean, if I find a good deal, I'll buy it and then I'll wholesale it to somebody, because I just kind of got burnt out of remodeling. I mean, I've done so many over the years, and so so as a result, I've lost contact with those people. They're busy. They've met other investors or other whatever, right? So I don't really have that network anymore, which is totally fine. I don't do a lot of remodels. So that's on the sales or on the obviously on my investment portfolio, like my long-term holds that I have. We're doing remodels like constantly. I mean, so we're still doing them, but it's more of just make readies and, maybe remodel stuff to get the rents higher.
So do you have your own guys for that, or do you get a contractor to come in?
I don't actually. I'm not involved with that. That's my management company. She kind of handles all of that basically.
So is it your management company,
or
did you
mine.
hire it? Okay.
No, it's not mine. I could do that, and I know a lot of people that do have their own in-house. And I think that if you can't find a great management company, then that's probably the smart thing to do. But I've got a great property manager. She thinks just like me. She's an investor just like me, and she's rare, and I know it. And she's a rock star, and so I honestly just don't want to. I don't want to be involved in all of the decisions day to day. Like I don't want
the headaches.
I don't want the headaches. I don't. I still have headaches. I mean, I have to pay for everything. I have to make the call on things if remodeling and pricing and stuff. But by and large, I mean, she just takes care of so much. Yeah, I could make more money. Bringing it in house, but she's been doing it for 7 years, and I'm not that interested in recouping that money. I'm just not. I like the freedom that I have instead, and I couldn't do it as good as she does it anyway. I mean, there's just no way. So it's been working out pretty good. But she's got contractors. I do refer her people, that I know that come, try to get me to use them, and I'll refer them to her, and then she can kind of figure out if they're a good fit or not. But So my long-term stuff is kind of over to the side, and it's working as every day, and I'm making a few calls here and there. So we're doing remodels, but over on the other side where it's like the flipping, wholesaling, stuff like that, I'm not doing like a tremendous amount of that anymore anyway. And when I do, I just find the good deal, and if there's a bunch of meat on the bone, I'll just sell it to this guy and let them mess with it, and I'll make my money and move on. I just don't have the desire anymore. Just kind of burn out. You know what I mean? Just get kind of tired. So I like to keep things interesting, and if I'm doing the same thing over and over for too long, I just get kind of bored.
I'm the same way.
The remodels they're so slow.
Yeah.
They're so slow. So, but I'm glad I did them all. I mean, they're necessary if you're in real estate and you're investing, man. That's the best way to make money. If you can buy something junky and you get a good deal, I mean, you can make some major money.
Yeah.
If you do it right.
That's what we target is the stuff that you buy for like 15 to 35, 40,000. Just, and then the rehabs usually around like 70,000, sometimes 80, 90, and just completely turn them from, I don't know, something that you never ever like want to even touch.
Yeah. So are you, your area, you're in Monette here, so you cover obviously it's a smaller community.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of competition here, and that's why you go out, or is it just sheer numbers? There's just less properties here, so you do other areas just to get those opportunities?
Yeah. So mainly we focus within like a 30-minute radius.
Yeah.
So like Cassville, Aurora, just like areas like that. So not too far out. Just we did one in Cape Fear, which I think that one's closer to like 50 minutes or so away. Yeah. But it was just a good deal, so we didn't want to pass up on it. But that's what I target the most, is something that's close, because I don't want to have to go everywhere to get to our properties, and then managing that would just be more of a headache. But I do have a good system in the sense of like I don't do a whole lot as compared to a lot of people that are in real estate. I literally meet with my contractor. We look at the property. He gives me a price. We make a contract out of that. He goes and does the work. I might check on the property like 4 or 5 times throughout the whole process. And then we go to sell it, and move on, and just keep doing that.
Yeah.
So
it's a good system.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people have to be like over at their property like every day, or working on it, or managing someone all the time, and I don't want that headache. So I try to simplify it as much as possible. And then I'm big on like what I want my lifestyle to look like, right? So I wanted to create something to where my kids could be involved with it. Like they're really young right now, so they're not really involved. But if we jump in the car together and go look at some of our properties, and I show them around. Sometimes I'll make videos with them, post on Facebook, stuff like that. And I just wanted to always create this lifestyle where my kids were involved with whatever my work life was. So like I wanted everything to be connected in a way. Whenever, we have like a nanny that comes to our house and stuff most of the time, but it's just fun occasionally to take them to a property and do that stuff.
Let them see what dad and mom are doing, and they learn
I work
a little
with
bit.
my wife every day too.
Yeah.
Like she's heavily involved with the business as well.
Okay,
so
nice.
She does all of our interior design. So honestly, she probably does almost more work than I do on our properties. She just picks everything out and stuff, and she loves doing it. So.
Yeah, and it's great to have that. It's a pretty important part.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's what makes the house sell.
It's what makes it. Yeah. I'm terrible. I have no taste at all. I can't even tell you if what I'm wearing today matches. You know what I mean? So it's really important to have that. So you're lucky that she's involved. So good for you.
Yeah. And a lot of, I think we're very fortunate too, because a lot of people like husband and wives can't work together. Overall, we do bicker sometimes, but for the most part, I feel like we work pretty well together.
Yeah. That's great, man. Yeah, you're right. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
So, but if it works, it works.
Yeah.
So, I was going to ask you. So you're working. So how far do you actually go? So like you mentioned Joplin earlier.
Yeah. So when I was talking about that, I just meant like we just travel a lot. We just always are. We're never at home pretty much. We just if we want to go out to eat, we'll go to Joplin or Rogers or wherever. And then we'll also look at property, but we haven't really bought any property out of like a 30-mile radius.
Yeah.
If I'm going to buy a property like that's like an hour away, I'll probably want it to be a multifamily.
Yeah. Well, you just more result. You get a bigger result. So the same amount of time, but you have multiple units. But
then it also adds the headache of having to find people that are closer to do everything. Like our contractor's willing to go out that far, but I don't know. As far as maintenance, after we get it all fixed up, you have that headache. So.
Right. Yeah, you have to kind of think about all of that when you're deciding, do I want to take this on? What's my plan afterwards? How easy is this how does it fit into my lifestyle? Is this just going to be kind of a pain in the ass, or am I going to enjoy owning this? Yeah. And that's smart that you think about that. A lot of people just don't think about it. they'll just buy whatever wherever, and then you do that year after year, you've got yourself a big mess, and it's hard to unwind it.
Yeah.
So it's good that you've got kind of here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah. And then our whole model is like we want to flip the houses, but we want to hold multifamily long term.
Yeah.
And then my wife's brought up Airbnb a lot. We've always talked about doing one and then never done one yet. On our Cape Fear house, we were going to go ahead and do that because it's not very far from the lake. It's not on the lake, but it's really close. But I think it just makes more sense for us to go ahead and sell that. And then the lot was luckily big enough to where we could build another house on that and then just sell it as well.
Oh, okay,
so that's
nice.
kind of our plan.
Yeah,
have you done any Airbnb or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. I kind of dipped my toe in it a few years ago. We sold them right when COVID hit and everything got shut down, and we had to refund everybody for all their bookings. Like we decided at that moment, like let's do this because it was actually perfect. You had to refund everybody. The books are clean. Okay, now we can sell it. Whereas before we kind of wanted to sell it, but we were like, well, you got all these bookings, making money. Like we'll just keep it, Yeah. And
so did it sell at a good time then?
Yeah, it was a great time. It was great. I mean, I could have kept it and sold it for more, now, but it worked out fine. I mean, it was very profitable along the way, and then it was profitable at the end. So that was a win for us.
So what did you do on that one, management wise?
Yeah, well, we did kind of silly. I partnered with my best friend, and he owns a health insurance company in Springfield, and he has some real estate investments, but he wanted more, and he's like, well, you never sell me anything because you buy everything, and so I thought, okay, this would be a good way for him to get some more real estate, investments, and it's benefit for me, and but we also bought those back when there was only like maybe 10, 15 in Springfield. So it's like totally different, Now there's like probably hundreds, and they've changed the rules and all of that. So when I did it, there was less competition, higher per night prices, and we did go ahead and get the approval and do the whole silly thing that they required us to do and kept operating it. But what we did is we just had his wife take all of the messages and did all the bookings, and we cleaned it. I mean, it was so funny. We cleaned these stupid things. I don't know how many times, but made no sense. We both it is a terrible way to spend our time. We're far more. How do I say this?
Like it wasn't a good use of.
It wasn't worth the time we were spending doing it, but we enjoyed it, and buddies, and it's like, oh, let's go. So we did that for too long, and then she would kind of run it. It was annoying. People are, where's I need one more fork. There's only 5. I need 6, and just stuff like that. Yeah. And so we both ultimately decided when COVID hit that while we were making good money, we just felt like it wasn't. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. I already had a large portfolio. So what I'm making over there, and then you add these 2 houses, which, yes, they're very profitable on an individual basis. It's great. Yeah. Returns are great. But it's like, this is kind of becoming annoying, and it's really not moving the needle a lot. So we both agreed to just sell them and move on. And it all worked out great, though.
See, that's my thing. I don't want the headache of, like people, like, I feel like they could just I feel like they have all the control. They could be like, oh, this is terrible. They could even stage things to where it makes it look like something happened whenever that's not actually
we had that. People would manipulate situations. Sometimes, you did find a cobweb in the corner. Like, yes, okay, guilty. I missed a cobweb. But then, the reaction to that is where you're like,
oh, I need a whole refund because of this cobweb.
You're like, I mean, how many hotel rooms have you stayed in? And it's like, oh, that's messed up. And it's like, come on, be reasonable. But people are, most people are reasonable. Some people aren't. I think that if you were doing it and you just had one, it's kind of like just traditional rentals. If you just have like maybe 1 or 5 and you work a full-time job, it's going to be very annoying to deal with those properties because it's not really like your main focus. It's just kind of the side thing, But But like in the Airbnb world, if you have one, it's probably going to be more annoying, especially if you got focused on other apartments and your other units and this and flipping. But if you do it and you like it and you will go, I'm going to make this a whole, maybe division of my portfolio that I'm going to go get 10 or 15 and I'm going to have some systems in place and people to take care of it. And is it annoying for them? Yes, but it's their job and they like it. And so I don't know. It's kind of like portfolio, right? Like having 5 is it's harder to have 5. That for me, it's easier to have 400. You're making more money. It's easier to pay for things. And so with the Airbnb, I just think if you just have 1 or 2 and it's not your primary focus, it's going to be pretty annoying. Unless you can get one like in a beautiful place, up at the mountains or on the beach, and you get some side benefits from it. But which would be fun. I'm thinking about doing that, but We'll see.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is that where you're at now? Is around 400?
400. Yeah. Well, not. Yeah, 400. I got a couple hundred with a partner, multifamily, and then me and my wife have a couple hundred that we accumulated since 2013.
Nice.
So, yep.
So, do you remember when you were around where I'm at 50? I'm right around 50. So
yeah, I remember it very well. It's that was around 7 years ago or so. Because that's when I think that's when my manager took over my portfolio. Because I remember it very well. Because I was selling real estate at a high level, managing all my properties, and trying to flip houses. And when I say manage, I'm talking like I'm doing the showings, I'm signing the lease agreements, I'm taking the deposit. They're dropping the rent off to me, like. All the things, and it was a lot. And it actually stunted me for a while. I couldn't see a world where I could take on any more investments because I'm like, I literally cannot do any more than I'm doing right now. But I also couldn't find a great property manager that would do it at the level I needed them to do it so that I could sleep at night, Yeah. And so I considered doing my own management company back then. And then I met my current manager. And we had these conversations, and how do you handle this? What would you do in this case? And I mean, every answer, it's exactly how I would handle it, everything. And I'm like, I'm going to go with you. And so once I did that, and then we kind of had this seasoning period where she kind of settled in, and I knew how she worked. She knew how I worked. And then I was like, okay, I can continue buying. I can continue doing more and more. And that's when the sales business, I kind of let that go quicker.
Yeah.
Because I could see the path of like, okay, the investments are starting to really add up. Flipping is making me great money, and wholesaling, that's sort of covering what I would normally make in the sales business. I can let that sales business go, feel okay, and then focus on the investment side of it. And so, yeah, hiring that manager, it opened up the possibilities of like, okay, now I can continue growing. Such a crucial part of it, so important. So I remember right where you're at. Yeah, it's kind of a tough spot, really. I don't know. I found it to be kind of challenging, much more challenging than now.
Really, that's good. That means I have something to look forward to.
Yeah. Well, you just make more money. You get more units. Not everybody does. Two people can run a business and have the same opportunity, the same product, and one can be profitable, one can't.
Yeah.
So I guess at the end of the day, as long as
Depends
you run
on
it right,
how you buy it and run
how
it.
you buy it, all the things. So yeah, it's a lot easier the more units you get if you're profitable and you're paying attention and you have a good manager and you're doing good things.
Yeah. So what we've been working on the most lately is getting all our systems set up.
Yeah.
So and we're getting a lot closer because once that's done, then it's just rinse and repeat. I think we're training our manager on how to do everything. She's good at situations to where, like, say a renter's complaining, and I'm not always the best with how to handle the situations because I'm sometimes too giving. I'll just be like, oh, whatever, we'll just do whatever they want.
Yep.
So she's good at handling those situations for us when they come up, and then we're trying to make a packet on like, okay, if this happens, do this, or just on those weird one-off situations. So.
Yeah, if like in my sales business, it was if I ever had to do anything like more than once, I would just try to create And I'm not trying to mislead people. Like, it's not like I had all these amazing systems and it was all technology and incredible. No, it's just like if for example, I mean, if I have to, when I first started selling real estate, we had a listing packet, they have to sign everything and you have to show it to them. And it's like, okay, are you going to print that off and make a bunch of packets so that it's ready to go? Or are you going to print a new one every single time, Yeah. And then are you going to think about down the road when you need to hire somebody to go do these appointments? Are you going to make them learn it all over again? Or are you going to put together a little how-to guide so that you can just say, here's how we do it from start to finish, And so it's smart that you're working on those. But if you're doing it more than once, just make it a little easier on yourself, and come up with some kind of system.
Yep. And then we're using Loom to make like videos on how to do it. So as we grow, we can just I think one of our next steps is hire a virtual assistant like in the Philippines to do a lot of so we use Rentec to manage properties, and then Monday to be like our in-house system. So we can add notes and all that stuff to it. And I don't know, it's pretty incredible what Monday can do. But then we're using Loom to make the videos to show everyone this is how you go through the process of everything.
Right.
So I don't know. In a few months, I think everything will mostly be done, and I'll be probably a lot happier.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, maybe it's fun for some people, but it's for me and probably for you. It's not fun at all. It's probably the last thing you want to be messing around with. But you got to just you just got to do it. Especially if you intend to grow, which you do, to 20,000. Said it out loud.
Yeah, we'll see.
No, all right, just kidding.
So what does believe in yourself mean to you? So I use it in a lot of my posts.
Okay.
To me, it's like you have to have the confidence to go out and do something.
Okay.
Like my 20,000 apartment goal. I might not get even close to hitting that, but I'm doing everything I possibly can to set myself up to where I can hit that eventually, and I have to have the confidence behind that. So what does believe in yourself mean to you?
I think growing up the way I did, it could be very easy to have like a worldview of like, this is what I've had in my life and this is what I'll get, and it's easy for people to get caught into that. And so I think, believing in yourself, what am I trying to say? I would say it's just doing things that you think you may not be able to do and being okay with the outcome, as long as you're not being phony with yourself and you're giving it everything you have. Believing in yourself. Yeah. If you're doing things that are uncomfortable or you don't really want to do, but you do it anyway, I think that you're believing in yourself and the results show up.
It's cool because earlier you had mentioned you just had a thought of whatever, and then you created a company out of it. I can't remember which company that one was, but it's just cool. Like it just comes out of pretty much nothing, like a thought, and then you implement it and it becomes a company. Like just kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to mislead. Like, I don't have a huge, big manufacturing company that's doing $50 million. I have a small investing company. It's me. I hire contractors. I have a manager. It's not like this is some complicated thing. It's very simple. But that's the beauty in it is it's simple enough that, if you can believe in yourself and take a little risk and be okay. You may fail, you may not. I've failed, you've failed, we've all failed. But as long as you know you're going to fail and you just do it and get a little uncomfortable, it's what happens is can be beautiful, So not just physically, but mentally. It's what a great feeling it is to do something, have an idea, do it, and then it works. Yeah. Oh my God, it's such a good feeling.
That is,
Small ones, big ones, just feels good, So you got to believe in yourself or you're never going to have those feelings.
So what are a few of your goals right now?
Goals right now? My goals right now, to be specific, I'm working on storage facility in Springfield.
Nice.
It's kind of like I've owned some storage facilities before, but I've never built one from scratch.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, so it's a kind of an interesting concept. We're using shipping containers.
Yep, with Sam Popa, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Do you know Sam?
I don't know him personally. I've just seen him on social media.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he's a great dude. He's kind of he's a little younger than you even. I think he's just 25. Turning 25. But yeah, Sam's a great guy. He'd be great to get on here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a neat story. He called me during the pandemic. He got furloughed, I believe. He worked at the hospital pushing patients to their car when they get, when they let them out or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then he got furloughed, and so he wanted to work for himself, And anyway, he called me.
What's furloughed?
Furloughed basically means like you're getting laid off, but we might bring you back, kind of thing. I believe is what furlough means. But basically, he got let go for a period of time, and then he could potentially come back later. Okay. So he was unemployed, but he cold called me actually. Just knew who I was, and he wanted to get into real estate, and so I kind of mentored him a little bit, and he ended up going into shipping containers, and he's just absolutely done an incredible job. He has an amazing business. The guy's insane. Yeah. And so I'm lucky enough to have him kind of in my little world, and we help each other grow, and we're doing deals together. And now here we are doing this storage facility, putting my real estate experience and just general business stuff with his shipping container and business, and kind of coming up with something that's different for our area that we're in. It's happening in other areas, just not around here so much. But so that's kind of like something we're working on right now, which is kind of fun. It's like a goal, get it done, make it a success.
And he has that. His is that one that has the standing up.
Yeah. On its corner. Yeah, it's balanced cool. On its corner. Yeah. I can't remember what I was there when they were digging it, but they went like 6 feet down.
Oh, wow.
Something like that with concrete. The pole and then the concrete and then the brackets, and it's quite an ordeal, but it's kind of neat.
It is cool.
You drive
it catches
by
your
and,
attention.
Yeah, you see a container sitting on its corner, just floating there. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
what's your so you guys are going to use the storage containers to be the storage facility, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So are you splitting them like one side on one side for one container, or how are you doing it?
Yeah, like we don't know the exact makeup of like the sizes yet. We're going to base it off of what people want, basically. Mm-hmm. So, but they're pretty flexible because you can put dividers in them and you can move them around. It's kind of the beauty of it, and there you go. If you have one renting the whole thing and it's just full of crap, you could just pick it up with the thing and just dump all their crap out in the dumpster. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's very flexible because it's not permanent, which I love that because, where we're putting this facility, it's on a major road in Springfield.
That's
and it's
genius.
And so, if something changes, let's say 5 years from now to where there's a better use for that, then I can just basically take the boxes, sell them, and then repurpose the land for, if we want to put a shopping center or manufacturing facility, like whatever makes the most sense. So I don't know. It's kind of a fun little idea I came up with. And I approached Sam. He already owned the land. And so he that was where he originally started his business. And so, so we bought it from him with the intention of doing this project. And so we're getting ready to start, and, it'll take a little time, but just something different, something fun. The numbers make sense, and we'll see how it goes. So that's like an immediate goal that I have right now. And then the other thing I would say is I really want to get a property somewhere in the mountains, just something along those lines.
Do you have a state picked out already?
No, I don't. I mean, I like Lake Tahoe, a lot. We go there every year. I love it. So fun, beautiful. But, I don't know, man. Owning something on the stuff we like is on the California side. And so I'm just a little leery about owning something in California. And just in general, it's tough because when you're in real estate and you're used to buying good deals and you're so comfortable in your area, you know what you're doing. It doesn't feel risky. Yeah. And then you go to a completely different area. You have no advantage at all. And, you got to pay retail. it's kind of against my religion, So I've had like about 6 or 7 years of just not being able to make the move. Again, it's kind of like the mindset of like, I can't seem to move past that. Yeah. I want to get a good deal, but I can't get a good deal because I'm not from there and I don't know where to get it, Yeah. And so that's kind of keeping me from doing it. But I may just have to pull the trigger and do it. But Lake Tahoe, Big Sky, Montana is beautiful. There's lots of places that I would go. I just haven't done it. I love Arizona. I mean, there's a lot of places I'd love to have a second place to go just zip over there and spend 2-3 weeks and, but I also have kids right now. You know how it is. You got young kids, you're kind of locked in terms of how often you can go there and stuff like that. So that's another thing that's kind of keeping us from doing it. But, yeah.
And I don't travel, and you said you travel probably once a month. We probably travel about half that, five or 6 trips a year. Yeah. Which I feel like is pretty good. But I definitely would like to get to 12 trips a year. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't always do that. I mean, but we always, you guys, obviously you've made traveling kind of a priority,
It's really important to my wife.
Yeah. So, which I think is amazing. We always had my wife was the same as your wife. Like she really is the one that made it the priority. And then I kind of just was like, okay. But the more we do it, the more I loved it. And I'm like, why wouldn't I want to do this more? Let's do this, And so, and now we've gotten to a point where, we travel a lot.
And you guys have taken some, where did you went somewhere this year that was it like Greece or something or?
Yeah, every summer we do like a 2-week deal where we go to multiple places, and so, we went to, where did we go? We went to Lake Como, in Italy, and then we went south to Puglia, and then we went to Mykonos, and then we went to Athens.
Dang.
So we do those like every. I'm gonna get that.
I know it's driving me crazy. I'm sorry.
I'll catch that thing straight up. We do that. I mean, we generally will do like a Christmas ski type thing, and then in January, this is the other thing. Like we don't take our kids every time. We try to alternate so we have our own time, and so we'll do a family trip in December, and then we'll go to Lake Tahoe by ourselves, and then we'll go to spring break with the kids and squeeze a Vegas in there, and then go on a big one in the summer, and then try to alternate so we have like our own adult time.
So I have a friend that says that when you go with your kids, it's trips, but if you go with your spouse, then it's a vacation.
Well, yeah, dude, it's a lot of fun to go and not have to worry about anybody but yourself. Yeah. As they get older, though, I mean, it definitely gets so much easier to where those family trips aren't so much work like where I'm at now. I mean, it's way easier than where you're at. So
it's fun with the kids and everything, but it's also just like a lot of stress the whole time, too.
Well, for sure. But, if you're married, it's like, you want to have your own time. Go do the things you want to do. Go let loose. Just have a great time and do whatever it is you want to do, which is healthy. So healthy, Kids got to have healthy parents, healthy relationships. So
how have you grown over the years, and is there something that makes you more successful than you used to be?
How have I grown over the years? Well, I think I've gotten more picky. I think I've really focused in on what I like to do, what I don't like to do, people I like to be around, people I don't, So I've gotten a little more focused in on doing the things that I want to do, that are worthwhile. Whereas in the beginning, I kind of just did everything. If I thought I could make some money, I'd just jump at it, and do it, even if it didn't make a ton of sense. So I've become a little more picky on what I spend my time doing, and maybe focus more in on what I enjoy to do versus just trying to do everything for everyone.
Yeah. And then I think part of, I don't know if it's necessarily maturity for me. Like as I mature, you talked about all these things that you used to want to do, and now they're not even like, say you doubled what you're doing right now. It's not even hardly going to affect your lifestyle. Right. Like you'll have more money, but like lifestyle wise, you can pretty much do everything you want right now with the same amount of money then. So I feel like that might be something that as I mature, I'll probably be similar to that too, which I don't think it's Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Finish your thought. It's probably in line with what go ahead.
I don't think it's necessarily like a good thing to give up on your goal, but if it's not going to fulfill you anymore and that's not really your purpose, then what's the point in doing it?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think though that I think it has to do with like who you are as a person, your values, like prior to doing, well, in the context of this conversation, it's like selling real estate, being an investor, things like that. So prior to that, what kind of values do you have? Like for me, it was, I wanted to have safety and security financially because I did not have that as a child, right? So like that's my priority. So moving through my life and then growing into like an adult, and now I'm 42. I still value that, and having let's say if I had double what I have right now, my values are still the same. So what's important to me is not changing. So if I had double what I have, it's not going to change a whole lot because I'm not going to all of a sudden turn into this person that I'm going to go to the casino and blow through $100,000 in a weekend, right? Or go buy a $10 million house in Springfield, Missouri. Or like my values are what they are. So does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you just kind of start to realize like
money makes you more of who you are, for one.
We've all heard that. Yeah.
But growing, like it's not really going to change. You're already at a point that's not, even if you 10x, you're probably not going to change a whole lot, your lifestyle.
I'm probably not going to change a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do I still need to work and have goals and push myself? Absolutely. And I'm working through that, trying to figure out how to sort of continue to evolve as, a business person. I've learned a lot about how to evolve as on a personal level with friendships and being a good, a better husband, more connected to my wife. Same with my children, being a present dad. And I feel like I've like really excelled in that area the last 5 years as, as I've moved forward.
Because that's the stuff that matters.
It's the stuff that matters so much. Yep. But then you also have to balance the other side of it, which is like me and you, and like, what do I want day to day? And like, I still want to feel productive, and it's like, how do I feel productive every day and in the business world, but also push the needle forward, but also like what I'm doing, So it's kind of this weird little space that I'm in, I'm trying to sort that out.
Yeah.
So
do you have like a lot of like habits that you do every day consistently?
Yes. Yes.
Like, are you a 5 a.m.er or?
I'm not a 5 a.m.er. I'm a 5:45 a.m.er. So yeah, I'm so regimented. People that are close to me, they basically like they know what I'm doing a lot of the day. Yeah. I am very regimented. Yeah, I mean, I like to get up, take my kids to school, like I like to pick them up from school. I have like my routine in the morning where I go do my cryo and sauna, and then I have 2 hours before my workout, so I go run errands, and then I work out at noon, and then I go to my office and eat lunch, and then I go basically to Carline, and then I go to soccer or football or whatever in the evenings, and that is like literally my day, and yeah, and I stick to it. I really do.
So how many hours a day do you actually like sit down and work?
Oh gosh, actually sit down and work?
Like 2 or 3?
No. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I don't have clients anymore, and I don't have, I don't have clients anymore. So all I really have now is the portfolio, which, that I have to work maybe
just a few hours,
3 hours a month. Maybe mainly just like reconciling money stuff and paying attention to what's being leased, vacancy rates, are the repairs in line with what they should be, and so that. But outside of that, it's just little fun projects like I'm doing the storage, with Sam. Like, that takes up a few hours a week, which is exciting, to do something different. And but really, what I just told you is what I do basically every day, unless somebody asks me to play golf, maybe sometimes I'll do that. But yeah, I said I don't have any like other hobbies either. So I always loved business and real estate, and so I'm kind of in that time in my life where I'm trying to figure out like what's my next 10 years look like, 15, 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like I was pretty much there like a year or two, probably about a year ago. And then this year I took it a lot. Like, I'm not saying you don't take it seriously, because you're at a point that you can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I got a lot more serious on my growth. So I was like, oh man, I need to build up all these systems and start focusing. So now I have I think my schedule's mainly like, so Monday we don't have a babysitter, so we mainly stay home or do a podcast, stuff like that. And then Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, me and my wife are both usually in the office working, and then our manager's working with us and all that. And then Fridays, we do Fridates. So we go on a date pretty much all day while the babysitter's watching the kids.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
And then Saturdays kind of family day, and Sundays family day in church. And all
I think that's such a great, I think that's great you guys do that on Fridays. We kind of do something like that. Well, not necessarily all year round, but primarily like spring and summer, where we do pool dates on Friday. You know, we hang out at our pool, we make lunch, you know, and make it a point to just hang out with each other, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that's great that you prioritize your marriage in that way.
Yeah.
So,
and we used to so when we were dating, we always did Saturdates. We always like kind of had a fun name for it, but it was every Saturday we'd go, and she'd plan one, and then I would plan the next one, and that was a lot of fun. But we stopped doing it because we got so busy with the kids and everything, and then business got hectic, and then all that stuff. So now we've only been doing it for a few weeks now consistently. So we're trying to just keep that going, and but it is fun.
Yeah, if you plan it, I mean, it's just like going to the gym, you know. If you have like a day you're going to go and a time you're going to go and it's on your calendar, you'll go. I mean, unless you're just being lazy, but you know, you build it into your schedule like you've done, and I think that's great. Obviously, I do that, you do that. You kind of have this routine or this thing, whatever it is, and then you kind of fall off, you know, and you beat yourself up about it, but it's not really a big deal. You just kind of just realign, get back to it, you know. Yeah. Which I think is great that you guys have done that. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
So what struggles are you encountering, and then what struggles have you encountered, and then what are you doing to overcome them? Or what did you do to overcome them? Sorry.
The struggles, you know, I've had a lot of struggles. I mean, related to like what we're doing here, business, you know, and real estate. It's like, you have obstacles and like little things, and you just fix it and move on. And so none of that stuff really sticks out in my mind. I mean, because it's every day, you know. But I would say the biggest struggle for me and has been, and I've gotten a lot better about it, is the mindset, you know. It's like the scarcity mindset, you know, that is like where I'm rooted, you know. And so like every day I've got to fight against that, right? So that's been my biggest challenge, and I've said this before. My wife's amazing, and she's so grounded, and the way she thinks through things is like so amazing for me, because it just complements the way I think. It's just a great team, and so she always has to remind me, is it fact or feelings? And she's said it so many times to me over the years that now it's like if I feel any kind of emotion rise up in me, whether I'm scared to do this deal, I'm frustrated, or, you know, something's happened at a property and I have a tenant that wants to sue me for something that I have nothing to do with, you know, things like that I can't control. I mean, I get the feeling all of a sudden my ears get warm, and I'm like, fact or feeling? You know, what's going to happen here? What's the worst case scenario? Because I always, you know, I would generally base everything off feelings. And
I'm very feelings based too.
It's tough. It's so tough when you're in business and you're really trying to like grow something and achieve more than you ever thought you could. It can be debilitating almost, you know? So fact over feeling is, when you ask me what my challenges are, like, to me, that's the one that I've had the longest. I have it still, and I'll continue to have it, you know, and I have to battle that all the time, as I can do it. Like we were talking about believing in yourself. It's like, I can do it, you know, I'm capable, and I just have to try and push through the uncomfortable feeling, you know. So that's my biggest challenge. Everything else is I can overcome it. It's no problem, whether it's whatever it is. It's all fixable, you know.
So are you the worrier and then your wife just doesn't really get phased? Because that's how
Yep.
it is in my relationship.
She's almost completely unfazed.
Dang.
Yeah, she's almost completely unfazed.
I don't know how Haley does it. She just doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, this could go wrong and blah, blah, blah. And she just doesn't like.
Well,
it's
your
like,
wife is more involved too, though, in your
Yeah.
business, right? So
Yeah.
she actually knows a lot about the ins and outs and the risks and what could happen, but she's able to somehow not worry about it. Whereas my wife, she couldn't tell you what we own, where it is. She doesn't. I have this master spreadsheet with all
All of it,
information.
yeah.
Yes. If something happens to me, it's like, go to the spreadsheet. And so, but she has no clue, which is also really scary. I couldn't imagine having all the things we have, the properties and tenants and money coming and going, and not having a single an idea about what's going on. That worries me for her.
I used to, I need to finish this because I never end up finishing it, but I had a document on my computer for when I die. Literally, it says when I die.
Yeah.
And then all the stuff that
Yeah.
I would want her to take care of or do or whatever.
That's
that way she has an
responsible, though.
idea.
Yes.
But I don't, like, she like, I'm the numbers person. She
Yeah.
doesn't do the numbers. But I don't know. She helps with a lot of the decision making.
Yeah.
So, but as far as like where our money's at and all that, she doesn't. She knows, but she doesn't know like what comes out when and all
Yeah.
that. So she needs something to go off of if
Yeah.
I were to pass or whatever.
Yeah. No, I understand. I get it completely. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, some people were just wired that way. I think it's incredible. I mean, we need people like that. I love that my wife's that way. I couldn't imagine if she was just like me, you know?
Yeah, I don't think you'd get along.
No,
I don't know if you'd get
it wouldn't
along.
work. It wouldn't work. We wouldn't be where we're at today. I mean, she's very wise and she's just practical, you know, and I'm like an EKG, you know what I mean? It's like high emotions, low, you know, everything's great, everything's not great. You know, it's like, so to have kind of that
Someone
person
that's
to
always-
balance, kind of a
yeah.
North Star. It's like when I can't make a decision on something, it's like I go to her and it's like she knows nothing about it, but I'll give her just a quick rundown and and I'm like, you're right, you know? So it's nice to have that. But anyway, that's probably the biggest challenge is just what's between my ears, you know?
I really like hearing that. Like, you talk so highly about your wife and everything. That's awesome.
Well, she's great. I mean, she's great. She always says things. She'll always say like, what you've done. She says that to me, bothers me a lot.
Oh, really?
You know, she'll say you, and I'm like, no, we.
Yeah.
We've been together for 18 years. We've been married. I mean, we together had absolutely zero, nothing, less than nothing. And so it's just been really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's been so fun, you know, to grow together and enjoy these things. So yeah, how could you not love somebody like that, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Sometimes we'll reminisce about like, you know, when we were like super, super broke and
Yeah.
just not being able to do anything. And then like the phone store, we started with $800. Me and a partner only had $800 together.
Amazing.
And so starting that, and I don't know, it's just really cool to see.
So fun though, to think about
Yeah.
the stories, like, you know, there were so many great memories, you know, and we do the same thing you do. You talk about where you lived, and do you remember when we go to the grocery
What
store?
we would drive.
What we drove, or
We'd
you know,
always share. We'd go to like, we have a Mexican restaurant here in town that we still love. Back in the day, we could both eat for $4 and change.
Yeah,
like
isn't that
she
amazing?
would get one or two taco. I don't know. She'd get enchiladas, and I would get like a taco or two,
Yeah.
or maybe it was $6 and change. But
Sure.
still, it's just kind of cool to have those stories. To
I
look
love
back
it.
on.
Yeah, man, it gives you something to. Well, you know, it just reminds you to like appreciate what you have, but also how you got there. Just the everyday,
Yeah.
the things you're doing every day to get eventually to wherever that place is. You know.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate
It does, and to do it with someone and not alone, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give someone that maybe they're younger, maybe around 20 years old, that really wants to succeed in life and business?
Well, I would say I want to be very practical and not like theory and all of, you know, the quotes and motivational. I mean, what I would tell somebody if they're 20, you know, let's say, or early 20s, whatever, I would say figure out a profession that you can do whatever the thing is that you think you could enjoy for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And make sure that you don't have a ceiling on your income. So make sure there's opportunity where you can work more, get paid more over time. Maybe start your own business eventually once you learn the business that you're in, working for someone else. I would say get into something that you enjoy, that you can make more and more money to where you don't have a ceiling. That's part one. Part two, be responsible with your money. Because if you're not, you can't out-earn that ignorance, you know?
You're right.
I have a lot of really wealthy friends, you know, and they don't.
Their spending always is right there with their.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, it looks great day to day because you have the coolest car and the this and the that, and the, you know, but behind the scenes, right? It's not pretty, you know? So find something you enjoy with, you know, the opportunity to make more money. Don't spend all your money. Live on less than you earn, but constantly try to earn more. I always tried to earn more. But I never really grew in terms of my debt and my lifestyle a whole lot. I did keep stair-stepping up. You know, people say that. I did stair-step up, but it could have
At the
been
right
so
time.
much more also. Yeah, it was the right time, but I could have always bought a bigger house. I could have always had 2 nicer cars with payments, you know, or whatever it is, right? But that cushion, that money that I didn't spend on my lifestyle was what allowed me to pay the student debt off for my wife and to pay off her credit cards and whatever we had going on to get into a position where then, as I kept making more money, then I'm in this sweet spot where I'm making all this money, I don't have debt, and I can just invest, but still get this cool life that I'm living. It's not like I'm, living a shitty life here. You know, I'm still living a great life, but I have all this money to invest, and then do that, and just stick to it. Just stick to it, and just keep doing it day in and day out, over and over. It's so boring. And it's not sexy. It's not fun. I totally get it. But after about 10 years, you know, you look back, especially when you're 20, if you're investing in real estate, you know, or I don't do a lot of stock market, but whether you do that, retirement accounts, whatever you do, you know, you look back and the results are incredible because you're doing something that most people are not doing, and they're not willing to do it, and they'll never, ever do it. You know what I mean? So make more money, live on less than you earn, invest the rest.
Yeah.
So simple.
And easier said than done, though.
It's easier said than done, but it's really,
on some of it, yeah.
It's really, easier said than done, but not really. Like, you know, if you're working at a job, look for opportunities that you can make more money.
Yeah.
You know, or go work for yourself, start your own business. Yeah, it's challenging, but you know, if you're making $17 an hour for 5 years, it's like, well, why are you doing that? Go find something you can do and make $25 an hour, whether it's knocking on doors, sales positions, like there's so many things you can do. And if you use that time and those opportunities in the right way, you won't really have to do that forever. It's just a little permanent piece of your very young life, you know, as a 20, 30-year-old. You have a lot of life left. So just sacrifice just a little, you know, and later you'll be able to, you know, it's like Dave Ramsey, you know, it's like just sacrifice a little to have a heck of a lot more later, you know. So
live like no one else so you can live like no one else.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which obviously I have a lot of debt, so, and I do that for certain reasons, but the concept is so correct. I completely agree with him. Is you know,
what's interesting about him is he was just like us in the sense of real estate. But it went south for him because he was like 20 something, 24, 25, had several, like I think $3 or $4 million worth of real estate, and then he the bank called his notes due and he couldn't come up with the money, so he went bankrupt and then went through all the stuff. But it's kind of crazy because he had the same mindset. It just, he got burnt on it.
Yeah, I mean, which I've heard him say that. I do often wonder, like, if you could actually get him one-on-one and him really give the details. Like, there's probably more there that we don't necessarily know, which whatever. You know, the moral of the story is, you know, make sure you have margins in your finances so that you can pivot if you need to. Things happen, because things always happen. They literally always happen to you, to me. It's going to happen. So it's just, are you positioned to where you can absorb that and continue to move on, or do you have sort of this house built of cards?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it is, and a few little things here and there can really take you down.
Yeah. In business, cash solves most problems.
I agree completely. I've always said that. And I've had a lot of bankers and business people, and, they're like, you're an idiot. Why are you doing that? You need to be putting that to work. Buy real estate. Do that. I'm like, well, it's my philosophy. It's my finance philosophy, and I'm going to stick to it. It's worked for me. I'm very happy with where I'm at. So I'm just going to, but yeah, anyway. Yeah. Example would be if I didn't have cash, I wouldn't be able to lend to other people to help them with their investments, which has helped me significantly. It's another avenue of my business. It's been really profitable, and it's a lot of fun, and it helps people, but if I had no cash, it's all tied up in real estate, right? I'm missing out on a very good return, So anyway, I agree. Yeah.
So what legacy do you want to leave? Like maybe family, and then what you don't want to be known for, and then maybe possessions. Like what?
I don't think a lot about that, to be honest with you. I think my legacy, I just want to be thought of as like a laid back guy, good guy, always just kind of takes care of people, kind, I do want to be looked at as like, the guy worked hard. He came from nothing, and he's really busted his ass. He's made a lot of great decisions, and the results speak for themselves. I want to give a good example to my kids. Whether or not they take it and apply it, that's going to be up to them. But I just want to give them and show them a pathway to have it's not even the money. It's like have a great marriage. Be connected to your wife, love your wife. Be a good parent, be a good friend, like that's the kind of stuff. I don't really care about all the real estate and all that, whatever. It's fine,
But those things are the things basics. That are actually important. Like
they're
important.
the most important thing. I just want the basics, because the real estate and all that stuff, I just see that as like a fun thing I'm doing. It's making money, and I get to spend it while I'm on earth, and I want to go on as many vacations as I can. And then beyond that, like, I don't know. It's probably just a simple answer, but that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I don't know.
Yeah. And then, how can people connect with you? Like, are you on you're on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I mean, I don't really, I don't do podcasts really. I don't have like an Instagram. I don't really have a YouTube channel. I have my personal Facebook page, which you can find me on there, and I might, if you send me a request, I might say okay. But yeah, on there, I just talk about real estate, politics, my family, and vacations. So if that interests you, by all means, go for it. But outside of that, I'm not here to sell anybody anything. I don't need you to buy my books or anything. Yeah, just having a conversation with you.
Yeah. And then do you have a final message for our audience?
Final message? I don't think so. I think I've summed everything up. Everything I said today is my final message.
That's good.
No, I don't think I do. No.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching the Karima podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.